And hello, I'm also broadcasting on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, and my LinkedIn profile as well. So, hello, everybody, and anybody watching this on the replay. I have done the totally casual, hey, Bridget, thing of not really announcing that I'm doing this. I mentioned on Friday, and I haven't brought the book in with me, that last week I'm still reading a book called How to Think Like a Breadwinner. Basically, particularly focusing on women, people who identify as female, and how we deliberately seemingly conditioned to not think like a breadwinner, not think like people who need to earn money, and that somehow society has told us over generations, centuries, that someone else is going to come and save us and it's all going to be fine. And that needs to change. And I feel like I'm increasingly having conversations with my clients about this, that they want to be self-sufficient, that they want to make their own money, and they don't want to be reliant on partners. And they have all the skills and all the capabilities to do that. It's just working out, how do we do that? How do we change how you think? And what do we do practically to make sure that you can make that shift into, I just studied this thing, I spent lots of money on it, I've invested a lot of money in my qualification. How do I think like that breadwinner? How do I start thinking about earning this money back, making money? I had a client I talked to just yesterday who was talking about, talking to a mortgage broker and her income not being taken seriously, not being taken as reliable enough in order for her to get a mortgage and to help her and her partner get a house. And I have been in that situation as well. So what I've seen another couple of coaches doing over the last few weeks and months is sharing their focuses and what they've done at each point in their business. And so I thought I would share what I see working and what has worked for me in getting to those particular milestones. So the first one I want to try and cover this morning, I'm going to try and wrap it up in like 20 minutes, is hopefully going to be of massive interest to those of you who are just qualifying, just getting started, or still don't seem to be able to get past that lovely threshold that most people tell me they want to get to, which is consistent 4 or 5K months. So we're talking about a take home of about 40, 50 grand, basically. So if you are still there, and there is absolutely no shame in that, it took me, let me see, 2-3 years to get past that. I just wanted to talk through what it was that I focused on, in able to get to that point and to make that feel like a good, like, I get it, I understand how to do this on a regular, consistent basis now. And I'm going to do that within my framework, the framework that I have. I'm just going to try and, am I just angling myself on my other video? Through my pillars. So I am going to take you through where my clarity point was, my kind of how I felt about my ideal customers. I'm going to talk about the packages that I offered. I'm going to talk about selling and pricing. I'm going to talk about the sites that I have, my website, my mailing list. I'm going to talk about the connection, the kind of marketing that I was doing at the time. And I'm also going to talk about mindset things as well, which I think is really important, like how I was thinking, because actually you can do all the things, but if you're not thinking in the right way, then that is not really going to be very helpful. So in order to move me then, and this is what the title is, I've put it up for those of you who are on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, and for those of you on Instagram, the title of this 20 minutes, hopefully, chat is what I focused on, or what to focus on to take you from 0 to your first 50K year in your business. So first up, looking at what I call clarity and the kind of piece that needs to be there. Hey, Miranda. In order to get me from 0 to a 50K year, it was really important for me to understand that I needed to niche down, to be specific about who it was that I was talking to, and to also, once I understood who it was that I was talking to master my message, to actually know who it is am I trying to help, What problem is it that I am trying to solve for them? And am I able to articulate that in a way that other people understand? That they understand, that the people I'm trying to sell to understand what it is that I do, what problem I solve for them, and what it is that I can enable for them. And so I would say the first, like I said, it took me, I'm just trying to think and trying to give you a kind of roll back on this. I started this whole journey in working for myself in 2016 when I started a blog. And so I started building an audience for myself already and learning a lot of these kind of skills already through 2016. This is when I still had a full-time job. 2017, I stepped away from full-time work. 2018, I was experimenting and kind of working part-time and doing contract work. And then it was 2019 that I fully stepped into working for myself. Hey, Lucy. So that was a good period of time where I was sussing things out, building an audience, finding out what worked for me marketing wise, building a kind of network and an audience for myself, and working out what it was that I wanted to do. But we're talking really here about the kind of point where I was doing this fully, 2019, where I realized I needed to get really clear on who it is that I wanted to help, and exactly what problem it is that I solved for people, and find a way to articulate that in a way that other people could understand. So I know a lot of you feel that kind of real frustration about, I can really help people. I know I've got all this amazing knowledge, but nobody else seems to get it. Nobody else seems to understand it. That was the lesson that I needed to learn to take me from 0 to 50 grand a year, was who is it I'm helping? What problem do I solve? And how do I articulate that in a way that other people understand? And to be quite frank, I spent 6 months of 2019 trying to figure out how to do that by myself, and then gave up because I felt like I was doing all the things and nothing was working, nothing was landing. And so it was only when I invested in a course to understand how to market myself. I invested in 2 things: a small membership that was kind of, I think 30, 40 quid a month, and a 500 quid course specifically around messaging, mastering my message, understanding who my clients were and the problems that they had and what I could do for them. That finally it started to click and I could move from 0 to consistent for 3, 4, 5K months, because finally people were saying, oh, I get what you do, or your content really, hits me, it really connects with me. And I was like, right, this is working. I'm finally figuring that out. So that was really vital to me to move from 0, don't really know what I'm doing, to, oh, okay, this is working, 3, 4, 5K months. So that was the clarity piece. The second piece was, if we just look at the packages, the kind of offers. So what was it I was offering during that period where it was 0 to, to get into my first 50K month, first 50K year, sorry. Haven't hit a 50K month yet. I was doing simple one-to-one offers. There was no bells. There were no whistles. There was absolutely no fancy things going on at all. It was literally me rocking up with my coaching skills, me in a notepad. I was literally handwriting notes while clients were talking to me. I would do it in person and online. And I had nothing, literally nothing else. And I know a lot of you will get caught up in, well, now you have to add, fancy memberships and recordings and videos and resources. I had literally nothing. It was just me. I showed up and had 3 different offers. I had a power hour, kind of one-off offer. It wasn't even an hour. I did a 90 minutes plus a little follow-up a month later. I had a 3-month program and I had a 6-month program. And that was literally it. That is what I kept selling. And that is what I was directing people into. I did also experiment quite a bit in that first year, and I had tiny little cheap masterclasses. So because I'd done my blog, I thought, right, well, I can teach other people how to set up their blog as well. I can see people are interested in asking me for that. So I set up a little masterclass, 35 quid, and people started buying that. And I thought, right, okay, this is clear that there's something else here. And at the end of those masterclasses, I would upsell, come and work with me, come and book my kind of power hour offer, my 90-minute one-off session with me. So that was my entire suite of offers. It was not complicated. It was small. It wasn't fancy. It didn't have, like I said, bells and whistles. It didn't have fancy resources. It was literally just me doing my thing, being clear what I help people with and what I could do. And it was just me and a notepad ultimately, and sending them some notes afterwards. I kept selling with those without ever touching anything else in that first phase of getting from 0 to 50. I didn't have a group program. I didn't have courses. I didn't have anything else that was one-to-many offer. I just stuck with the one-to-one. So effectively, I was doing a time for money exchange. And you'll hear loads of really like negative stuff about that. Oh, you don't want to get trapped in a business that's a time for money exchange. Of course, you don't want to get trapped in it. But do you know what you want when you are earning zero and you'd like to be hitting 5K months? You'd like 5K months. You'd like consistent clients. You'd like to be freaking working with someone. So if you want to be working with someone, you don't need to worry about the fact that it's a time for money exchange when you get started. Yeah, it is, because you'd like to exchange your time for some money because you want to get started in your business. So there is nothing wrong with that. That is absolutely fine. That is how the business got started. And ultimately, I was experimenting. I wasn't expecting anything to be perfect. I was just putting stuff out. I was like, okay, these are my one-to-one offers. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to work with a few people. I'm going to see how it goes down. I'm going to try these tiny little webinars. I'm going to see how this works and see if I make some money and it converts into clients. I was experimenting. I was willing to just give it a go and see what happened. Get myself out there, get in front of people. Looking at selling then, which is my next pillar, what was happening around there? My pricing was not huge. I was pricing in the hundreds for those kind of packages. So my one-off, I think it was under 100 originally, and then I kind of slowly, increased that up. So maybe it was 97, then, to kind of 109, 119, 129, that kind of price. And then for my 3-month and my 6-month, we were looking at kind of 300, 400, 600, 700 euros. So not crazy amounts, not even into 4 figures at that point. It felt stretchy for me because I'd never charged that kind of money before, but I also knew, and I'd done my maths, I knew how many I needed to sell to actually earn the income that I wanted. So I had to get comfortable with selling, with kind of stretching myself with those prices, and the prices weren't huge and crazy and high ticket like some people might be telling you to get started with, but they were enough for me to see that people were willing to invest. I also at that point was working with an accountant, and we kind of just did it as a skills exchange. So I gave her some coaching, and in exchange she would look after my accounts. I have never done my own tax return before, which I have no interest in doing. I have also never done my own tax return before. I did my own kind of bookkeeping and tracking, basically just on a basic spreadsheet, money in, money out. It was very small at that point, very low numbers of expenses going out and low number of clients and sales that I was making. So it's very easy to keep it all track on a single spreadsheet, which is exactly now what I share with people inside Just Start Now. So selling was sort of very simple, getting comfortable with selling and offering those things, not huge crazy prices, just that time for money exchange of here's me, here's what I do. My sites then is my next pillar that I always cover. It was really important for me that I had my own website. I finally decided that was really vital when I kept trying to shoehorn my coaching, my mentoring into my blog that I was running, my healthy eating blog at the time. And eventually it just got to a point where I was like, this is not working at all. So I set up vickyshilling.com. So I set that up completely from scratch in the same way that I coach all of my clients now. Or everyone comes inside Just Start Now. I show you exactly what I did to start a fresh website and start getting found for this new area of expertise with this idea of who it is that I was trying to help. So I set up a website. It was, brand new. I wasn't going to get found on Google. And you know what I did to try and get myself found on Google straight away? I looked at what were the evergreen topics, what were the things that people were asking that were always going to bring me back ideal clients. So I looked up online, and again, I teach this through Just Start Now and with my clients. I looked up what were people searching around the term wellness business, and people were looking up how to name your wellness business and how to market your wellness business, how to sell your marketing, your wellness business. Right. Those were the blogs. Those were the pieces of content that I produced straight away. And those are still the pieces of content that drive traffic, drive customers, drive eyeballs, drive mailing list subscribers to my website now. So I was very strategic about what I put on that website. And I was able to do that because I taught myself for 3 years, 2016, 2017, 2018, by this point, 3 years of writing a blog and working out how to get that on page 1 of Google. I took all of that knowledge and turned it into what I now teach and what I did for my own new website with vickyshilling.com in creating the right kind of content, the right kind of blogs on there. I also created a freebie, a kind of checklist, so that I could start growing a mailing list. And again, started it from complete scratch. I had a small mailing list for people that were interested in my healthy eating recipes. I just left that completely to one side, left that and closed it down. And then then instead have started completely from scratch with a email list for vickychilling.com. And I created a freebie, a checklist to help you get your wellness business started, and promoted that through my socials and promoted that on the website to get people signing up to a mailing list to receive information from me where I could then sell to them as well. So right from the scratch, right from the get-go, I had a website and had a mailing list, and those two things continue to serve me really, really well now into the next stages of reaching 100 grand, 150 grand, like, and onwards. So I would absolutely say that they were vital at those beginning. And I actually got some professional photos for that website, and I did that as a skills exchange as well. So again, offered some coaching to the photographer, and so I had some lovely photos for my socials and for my website, and she got some coaching in exchange. So again, I kept it super cheap, super basic way of getting what I needed to get my website, get it looking professional. I didn't need to invest huge amounts in that. I found ways to do it while I had a very small amount of income coming in. And then the connection piece, then the kind of marketing piece, what was I doing? I focused on a single social media platform. I was already well invested in Instagram by that point. I already had a kind of audience through my blog. And so I was really just focusing on that. I didn't try and diversify. I didn't try and add lots of other areas. I knew that's where my people already were. And so that is where I continue to focus. I just focused on one, using it really well. I also was really, and this is the kind of key thing, focused through there and through a free Facebook group on creating a community, building an audience. That first leap from zero, nobody knows you, you're not established on the market, no one is trusting you yet, no one is buying from you yet, to get to that consistent 3, 4, 5K months, the first 50K year, you have to be focusing on creating a community, building an audience for yourself. So I was building relationships, I was giving value for free, I was showing up in that free Facebook group, and I was adding trainings, I was answering questions, I was giving feedback, I was literally give, whilst also still balancing that with directing people into come and buy from me, come and work with me. This is what you get if you come and become a client of mine. If you like this and you thought this was brilliant, imagine what it would be like to come and actually work with me one-to-one. So really working that kind of those free spaces to build a community, build an audience, build that trust with people, and focusing on one platform to do that. And so for me, that was Instagram. And then in order to kind of actually build my mailing list and direct them back to seeing me elsewhere, I was directing them into a free Facebook group where I gave lots more value, lots of free trainings, and actually experimented and tried out a lot of the things that I now have brought inside my paid for Just Start Now community, giving, copywriting feedback, celebrating wins, doing Q&A sessions, adding extra trainings and things. We just do that now inside a paid for platform. I was doing that and really showing what I was capable of in a free setting originally. Ultimately, I understood in that to go from zero to that first 50K, that just posting tips and free stuff on social media is not a marketing strategy. I had to be more savvy than that. And if you want to move from zero to making money, making those 3, 4, 5K consistent months, you need to understand that just sharing loads of value completely for free with none of that other strategy behind it is not going to work. So hopefully you're listening and taking notes and realizing that the other things that I clearly had in there were a website which was getting me found via Google, a mailing list where I could then upsell and build relationships with people in there as well. I had clear packages and offers, and I had priced them in a way that was actually going to earn me some money. So again, you could be the most helpful, useful content provider in the entire world, but if you don't have clear offers, clear things for people to come and buy that answer their problems or give them the outcome that they want, you're not going to make any money from it. You're not going to hit that first 50K. So that for me was where the creation of the content and being of value absolutely made sense, because I had the strategy and the setup to actually direct people into paid for offers, and they were not complicated. They were me showing up with my notebook, with my coaching skills in a 3-month, in a 6-month, in a one-off package, and were simple ways to help people, and teeny tiny paid for webinars, again, where people could get to know me, get to trust me, and then look to come and work with me. So it was really having all of that basic groundwork. In terms of mindset, then, before I finish, the kind of things that I would say helped me go from 0 to my first 50K year were getting comfortable with marketing a lot of the time. A lot of you seem very, very resentful and very frustrated that that is the case. It is totally normal. And if you can embrace it and not see it as a bad thing that no one is buying from you immediately, see it as a totally normal thing, totally normal part of the process, that 70, 80, 90% of your time in your first year, first couple of years, your first, in this first phase of trying to hit your first 50K year, is basically marketing yourself, getting in front of people, adding value, talking to people, getting curious, finding what they want, being seen. And that is not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. Once you can accept that as part of the process and enjoy it, enjoy getting to know people, then things become a lot easier, rather than this kind of frustration, resentfulness of, I'm not making any money, no one's going to pay me, no one's ever willing to invest in it, no, this is never going to work, I'm going to give up. We really need to have much more sort of resilient, this is normal, this is part of the process, this is what I do, I show up, I give value, I get curious, I ask people questions, I understand that marketing myself is an exciting and fun, and find the exciting and fun way for you of showing up and getting to know these people so that they will be ready to buy from you. That is not a given. And I think it's actually a slightly sort of entitled way of thinking. No one knows who you are when you are at 0, when you have never been paid for this and you've just surfaced. So it takes time to build that trust with people. And hopefully you can hear from what I've explained, and the fact that really I had 3 years before that of experimenting and trying and starting to build an audience. So for me, it felt relatively quicker and easier to start making money from it because I had an audience already. If you're going from 0, literally your entire focus should be to build that audience, build that community, and get comfortable with getting in front of people and showing them what you are doing if you want to earn your first 50K year. I invested in 2 things, like the other kind of mindset thing to be aware of. I spent 6 months going, I can do this all by myself. I am perfectly capable. I'm a very intelligent person. I'm sure I can figure this all out by myself. And by the end of 6 months, I was absolutely burned out and completely distraught that it wasn't working. It was not earning me the money that I needed. I was going to have to go back to contract or full-time work to earn anything. I was earning a bit. I was earning a few hundred, a couple of thousand, but I was still having to pick up other work along the way. And it just wasn't really sitting tight until I invested. And I had to admit, I can't do this by myself. I am not an expert in this, and it will be faster if I actually pay someone to teach me what to focus on and what to do. And those 2 investments were the best thing to catapult me and to move me on. And I will talk more when I do the next part in this series, when I look at the kind of leap from 50 to 100K, where I invested even more to get even more confidence and access more people that took me the next stage. But for me, if I wanted to fast track this and not try and just figure it out myself, I had to invest. And ultimately, that first year is full of comparison. And to be quite frank, the 50 to 100K is still full of comparison. The 100 to 150K is still full of comparison. I continue to be full of comparison, and I have to manage that. And I have to make sure that I am not assuming that, looking at everybody else, that they have got it all figured out and that I'm the stupid idiot that hasn't got it figured out yet and that I must be doing something wrong. I wasn't doing anything wrong. And actually, the more I showed up, invested in those programs, and did every freaking thing they told me to do. If they gave me an exercise, I did it. If they told me to go out and reach out to someone, I flipping well did it. I showed up to the calls. I did the thing. I followed the processes. I trusted the people I'd invested in, and I got the results. So it wasn't investing and then sitting back and being like, well, I just paid someone 500 quid to tell me how to master my message. What's happening? I was actually doing the thing, showing up for that course, invested in it, and actually doing and actioning what I was being taught as well. I'm going to wrap it up there because I am whizzing off on to a call with a client. I've covered there the clarity I needed to get to my first 50K, the packages and the offers. I've talked about pricing and getting comfortable with selling. I've talked about my website and mailing list. And I've talked about the connection, the kind of marketing piece, as well as the mindsets and the investments. Yes, absolutely. This will be saved so you can watch it later. If you've got any questions, if you're watching on the replay, I appreciate I haven't really marketed and told people I was doing this, then please pop it in the comments or come and chat to me in the direct messages. All of the stuff that I am showing you and teaching you and telling you here is what I teach people inside Just Start Now and give you a framework for, so that you don't try and figure it all out by yourself and spend weeks, months and years trying to hit that first 50K year, and actually come and get some help and support doing it instead. So I'm going to wrap it up here, end the broadcast on all the different channels that I've been going on. But yeah, I will save this up and I'm very happy to hear any of your questions. What I intend to do over the rest of this week is to share the 50 to 100K and what has happened and what I was doing there. And then the 100 to 150K, which is the kind of block that I'm in now, and what I'm doing and what I'm focusing on in order to move through those goals as well. So yeah, happy to take any questions at all. I like to talk about money. I want to empower all of you to actually earn and be the breadwinners in your own lives and businesses and relationships. And yeah, I will speak to you all again soon. Bye-bye.